Hi everyone, it's Pete here from the Pain Toolkit, and good afternoon to you from very, well, I don't know, it was sunny this morning here in the UK, but the sun's gone in now, and the warm weather we were having, that's, I think that's, we're all going back to normal now. But listen, enough of the weather chat. I'm really honoured and so pleased today to be interviewing Bart Morlion, who's the current president of the European Pain Federation. And good afternoon to you, Bart. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you, Pete.
So, Bart, listen, I know you're very tight for time, and I want to hold you up for longer than needed, but I thought it'd be useful to just do a short interview with you, just to ask you some questions about, well, you know, what is the European Pain Federation? Because I think there's lots of little organisations running around, but I don't think a lot of people do understand what the European Pain Federation is and what does it do. So can you just sort of give us a very brief overview on what it is and what it does?
Yeah, happy to do this, Pete. So I'll give a very summarized footprint of our organization. It's a multidisciplinary professional organization, and we are actually a federation of what we call ISP chapters in Europe. We count now 37 chapters, meaning that these are all official chapters of the World Organization of Pain, the IASP. And so we're not a membership organization, so it's really a federation. We represent about 20,000 healthcare professionals, not only doctors, but also allied healthcare professionals, psychologists, physiotherapists, nurses, specialized nurses, and so on and so forth. And actually we establish our activities on 3 pillars, which are education, which there is still a very high need on education on all levels towards pain management. Secondly, research, and third, becoming more and more important in our activities, is the so-called advocacy committee, where we really engage now all with patient organizations, with policymakers, and so on and so forth.
And great description of what it is. And I mean, I've been to quite a few congresses now, what EFIC have been running. But you've been, I first got to really know you a few years ago, attending other events and whatnot. But I know you took over the presidency a couple of years ago in Copenhagen. And I always remember, I think that that Congress for me stood out from the actual address that you gave the audience on the very last day. And I don't know if you, hopefully you remember, but I always remember it, is that, and this is the thing that struck home with me, is that you asked the audience, what can the European Pain Federation do to help them be more successful in supporting their patients and their organisations in their countries? And to me, I've never heard that before, because normally it's, well, how can you help us? But you was actually doing the opposite, reaching out and saying, well, how can we help you? And why did you come up with that? Because I think it's great.
Yeah, thank you, Pete. Indeed, that's what I said. First of all, we're growing as an organization, and being involved in a lot of advocacy work over the last years before becoming president of the organization, it became very clear to me that in the end, we're all working to the benefit of patients. And that should be the central leading guidance of our organization. So I promised to guide our organization towards a more patient-inclusive organization, although this is something which is a stepwise approach. We try to engage more patients also, for instance, in our daily work in the committees. But on the other hand, of course, we're not a silo working on our own, and that's the reason I really offered, please let us know what we can do for you. And indeed, that's the offer. And I must say, we really reshuffled all our organizational aspects. We now have a very professional office within the center of Brussels, very near the European institutions. And we looked for volunteers, and actually over 140 people spontaneously wrote to us with their CVs and offering their help to support us. And that was a great achievement. And so it's better to work with people who are really engaged than just appointing officers.
I like that. I like that. 140, that's
140. So we're still struggling a little bit to give everybody the place they deserve. But nevertheless, most of them have been contacted already and have been assigned or asked if they would be willing to help us on this working group, or based on their expertise or competencies to help us out. And as you know, because you're involved in many of our projects, we also have established new working groups. And one of these new working groups is also engaging in patient education. And we're thinking about reshuffling also the system of our pain schools. And indeed, it was flagged up several times. And also yourself flagged this up, that maybe it's time that we also engage directly in patient education, and also in promoting self-care and these things.
So tell me, can you tell the viewers, what was it like to be the president? I mean, I can't imagine it. I mean, to actually be a president of an organisation with responsible for lots of stuff. I mean, what was it like? And what was the highs and what was the lows? Perhaps give me some more highs.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm midterm now. So I finished my first 18 months this month.
Yeah.
And there's still, because of this reshuffling, I'm a little bit behind schedule, because it took many more months than I planned for to do this reshuffling. But I think everybody will notice that we have increased our transparency as an organization. You can have a look at our website. It has been renewed. It's very clear now. We are very transparent. We publish now an annual report. So everybody can have a look at our activities, but even at our financial situation. And I must admit, I'm a full-time clinician at an academic teaching center. I'm part of the University of Leuven, where I also have a clinical professorship. So apart from seeing patients most days of the week, I teach a lot. And so it takes quite most of my spare time at the moment being president of the European Pain Federation. On the other hand, it gives also a lot of opportunities to engage with different people, very interesting people, to look at different angles. And so that's a little bit my function, also to bring in new people, new organizations, and we really want to extend also our participation in the healthcare landscape within Europe.
What was the, so I know you've still got another few months to go till the next Congress in September, but what would be your, I mean, up to, I know you've still got months to go, but what do you think has been the most exciting changes that you've seen happen?
Okay, there are two things where I'm very proud of. I managed, together with a very engaged scientific program committee, and then the chair of the scientific program committee, Professor Huygen from the Netherlands. First of all, we increased the offer of professional education. During a lot of these meetings, we gather to learn about the latest developments and basic sciences and new clinical studies. On the other hand, we noticed that there is still a high need of summarizing the clinical work and the clinical knowledge about practical pain management. And we managed to offer really track during our 3.5 days, where people who really want to engage in education, they can follow in Valencia in September a complete program on education. So that's something which will be different from our previous congresses. But secondly, which will interest you much more, is that we will get also more engaged with patients. And to give you one flavor of new activities, every single plenary speaker in Valencia has been asked already to do a second short layman's talk. So we will have the plenaries, which will be at the highest scientific level possible. But these excellent international speakers will take the time to address also patients, journalists, to explain in a very understandable way their field of research. And we plan to webcast this and also give the possibility to for many people in the world to have a good look at what was happening at our meeting in Valencia. And this is one of the new formats of our meeting. So I want to keep my promise that I want to engage more directly with patients, and this is one of the examples. We know that patients are mostly not in a position to visit these type of meetings, although we will have quite a lot of representatives of patient organizations. But nevertheless, we will offer the possibility to learn also what are we learning during this meeting, what could this bring to you.
I think I think using technology, as you're saying, I'm doing webcasts. I mean, workshops I do now for people with pain they're online so that everybody has access to pain self-management. They haven't got to go somewhere to learn something, providing they've got, like what we're doing now, really. As long as they've got a computer and a screen and a speaker and whatnot, it's about online learning, I think. But I'll tell you, one of the other exciting things I like about the Congress in Valencia is what's this business about activity? Getting people active. What's the story behind that?
Yeah, one of my personal agendas in becoming president is that I wanted to give also for the future the possibility that every president can give at least some personal flavor during his presidency. So we installed a new kind of advocacy campaign, which runs for 3 years. And the campaign I proposed and the board agreed to follow is the European Pain Federation on the Move.
Yeah,
and for me, this means two things. First, we're on the move in the organization. And a lot of this has been accomplished over the last 18 months. But secondly, most importantly, literally on the move. Movement is such an important part in the management of patients in pain, not only as a secondary prevention, not only as a treatment modality, but also, and that's also new in our organization, we want to look beyond our own walls, and we want to get involved also in primary prevention. And there also movement is such an important, it's not only for pain patients, it's a general health rule. So we want to engage more in health advocacy instead of health care advocacy. And this will be noticeable also in the Valencia meeting. We have some exciting ideas how to promote movement during a meeting where a lot of participants actually are sitting down during many hours. But for those who will attend, they will be surprised how inventive we will be.
I tell you, I'm looking forward to it. I tell you, I can't wait to see it. This is rocking. This is going to be exciting. Listen, I'm going to ask one more question, and then I'll let you get back to work and do your teachings and stuff. It's a question I asked most people, other healthcare professionals who take part in the interviews. Is for where I've only been involved in this sort of stuff now for 20 odd years. So, but I've seen the vast improvement of how pain is managed. I've seen it steadily get better and better and better. And how do you see pain self-management, say in 10 years' time? How do you see it progressing even more over the coming months and years?
Yeah, that's a very challenging question, Pete. Indeed, in the ideal world, I would see mechanisms in healthcare where patients would be much more informed before attending physicians and the healthcare system, because part of their problem should be managed already at home with very simple measures, which can be offered in a digital way. So all the solutions do not have to be that expensive. And in an ideal world, I would like to see more what we call neuroscience pain education towards the patients before engaging directly with healthcare providers. And this would help to improve also the motivation to step into what we call multimodal health care, multimodal pain care, because still nowadays, a lot of patients in pain rely on their tablets, they rely on doctors who will do something with them, whereas the solution for most of them lays in what they will do themselves. And so I hope that we will know an evolution towards improving and increasing the share of self-management in the management of pain.
Bart, it's been a pleasure speaking to you, man. I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to Valencia. I know it's going to be a really good congress, and I dare say I'll be speaking to you and talking to you before then. But I just wanted to say thanks on behalf of I think it's 100 million people in Europe who live with pain. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you on behalf of the 100 million for all the work that you've been doing over the last 18 months to improve people's lives. So massive shout out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pete. And remember, we were the whole team. I'm not doing this alone. We have so many engaged people.
Exactly. Listen, I'll let you go. Take care. Have a nice afternoon. And I'll see you again soon, Bart. Take care, man.
Thank you. Bye-bye.